Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Future of BizTech. I'm your host, JC Granger, and I have the pleasure of having Omer Jamal with me here, who is the founder and CEO of AQX. Omer, thanks so much for being on the show. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what is it that AQX does?
Awesome. Thank you for having me, JC. Really, really appreciate it. So, I'm the CEO and founder here at AQX. AQX stands for Ask Questions and Explore. It's a cool little acronym that we thought while forming the company back in its initial days. So, we are really an AI voice platform that's like your revenue surge engine. So, for any service provider that spends a lot of money on paid ads, we solve the problem of speed to lead with AI voice agents and come up with a new secret revenue channel for them to do that with AI voice agents.
AI voice agents is definitely one of my favorite topics because this has actually been something that we're like trying to do internally. It's hard, man.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, here's the thing, like we've trained some of our AI. Well, Amelia is her name, right? So we gave her a
Mhm.
name. Her name is Amelia. We
Yep.
mostly have her on the inbound side,
Okay.
where if someone calls our phone number, they can talk. Like we've trained it everything about like our company and what we do, and so it can answer the questions. But with voice agents, is yours more on the outbound side? Is it designed like for call centers, and if so, like how does that work? What kind of benefits are there to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've worked with call centers as well. So like that's like massive call volume for both inbound and outbound dialing. We've worked with some really, really large marketing agencies who have end clients that they solve paid ads for essentially. So it's like, how do you get more value? How do you get more ROI on your paid ads, so to speak, right? So the cool thing about voice AI is the use cases are quite synonymous. Like you could use it for customer support, you could use it for outbound, you could use it for inbound. We're really trying to just hone in on that audience of either call centers or marketing agencies with paid ads that spend a lot of money on paid ads. So it's a cool technology. It's moving super, super fast. I see a world where, in the next 3 to 5 years or something, all tier one sort of sales qualification will be done by AI voice. It's the cost savings are just drastic. If you've tried it, you probably know it, but it's hard to get done right. And that's the plug and play solution that we're trying to go for.
How do you get past the delay, right? And so for people listening, like if you've ever talked to an AI agent, there's this inherent delay between your reply to them versus their ability to process reply back. How do you deal with that? And is it just a matter of time? I mean, why does that happen? Is it a computing, a processing thing? Like what makes that delay?
Yeah, absolutely. So that delay, aka latency, is a problem that all the voice AI sort of pioneers are trying to solve for, right? It's probably the number one thing that you hear for in customer demos, conversations, and whatnot. So, when you and I are speaking, JC, there's probably a delay of about 110 milliseconds. That's what average human conversations look like. With voice AI, when we first started, maybe like almost a year and a half ago, the delay or the latency was about 1,500 milliseconds. In some cases, even 2,000 milliseconds. So that's almost 1.5 to 2 seconds. It's drastically come down to that 700 millisecond range. Where that delay comes from is because in the back end, there's like these LLM providers, there's like these text to speech providers, these speech to text sort of providers that are used to generate and synthesize the information that the voice AI agent itself is understanding and processing before it spits out an answer. So even if you use ChatGPT, there's a slight delay, right?
Yeah.
That it sort of comes with. So imagine that happening, but that's sort of happening on voice itself. So I anticipate it's just going to get better and better and better over time. Right now, like I said, it's about 700 milliseconds or so. So for the tier one calls, I think it's drastically better than the old robotic IVR like press one, press
Yeah.
two, that decision tree type model. So I'm excited to see how that's going to come down, but I see a future very shortly, probably in the next 12 to 24 months that we're going to see a cut in half just because of the speed of how AI is moving. This AI world is just so
It
fast.
sounds like it's an engineering problem at this point, right?
That's right.
It's more computing power, more energy, all the things, and then that cuts down on that time. Eventually, we'll live in a world where
Yeah,
it has no latency or has the similar latency that we do, right? You said around
exactly.
100 milliseconds and whatnot.
Yeah.
Let's back up a second though. I want to kind of go in reverse for a minute. Tell what made you start the company? I mean, you're the founder and CEO, so were you in corporate and then you were doing stuff you're like, these guys suck, I could do it better, like just or
Yeah.
were you just sitting there one day, like, I mean, what, or is this like your seventh company that you've started and it's just the newest thing? Like what
Yeah,
made you
yeah,
start
yeah.
this one?
Yeah, yeah. To be honest with you, I was just traveling with my wife on like a year-long honeymoon. I had exited a couple of SaaS businesses prior to this, so I had a little bit of liquidity. I was enjoying the fruits of my labor, and we went on like a year-long honeymoon. So we went
But she
across
has
the
a lot
world.
of bragging rights to her girlfriends, doesn't she? A year long. You are the husband of the year, like literally the year, the entire year
Yeah,
honeymoon.
yeah.
That's amazing. Good for you.
Yes. So we had a fun time, and during that period, this Chat GPT thing came about. And when you're on vacation, you kind of get bored as well. Like, it's like, what do you
Mhm.
do after 6, 7 months? And I was kind of getting to that point where you can read all the books that you want in the world, you can meditate, you can journal, you can go to the gym, but you're still
Uh,
twiddling your thumbs at the beach,
yeah,
right?
no, if your brain doesn't have something to feed on, it's going to eat itself, man.
Right, exactly. So I kind of just got bored, and this chat
Don't tell
GPT,
her that. Do not tell your new wife that you got bored on your honeymoon. Just
yeah.
keep that off the table.
Yeah, 100%. So this chat GPT thing came about. I started sort of playing around with it and stuff and tinkering with it and whatnot. And it just kept getting better and better and better and better. And I wanted to go, my last startup that I had was very segmented to a very specific sort of niche in the financial advisory wealth management space. So I wanted to go a little bit to a bigger market, so to speak, this time around. And yeah, so started playing around with tools. This whole when I heard a demo of this AI voice thing, I'm like, oh wow, like this is the future, right?
Yeah.
And then I started looking into sort of this call center and just calling business communication sort of space, and just found out that there's so much leakage, right? Like there's $1.4 trillion lost annually just due to poor customer experiences. People don't get back to leads, missed calls, evenings and weekends, no one's answering the phone. So this was like a massive problem. And then the call centers and anybody who's been on the phones, if you've ever worked at a call center, it's a hard job, right? It's not easy. They have like
It's a
40,
grind, man. It's a
yeah,
grind.
it's a grind. They got like 45% churn annually in those roles. So I'm like, okay, wow, like this is like a real problem that I think AI is going to solve for, and that's what we just went like head first, and here we are. We're just getting warmed up, but it's been good so far.
How long have you guys been around? Like, how old's the company?
So we started in about March or so of last year.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
what is your I guess your compelling offer? Like, I guess what do you tell prospects that sets you guys apart from another voice AI company? Because it seems to be something that got, a lot of people jumped in on,
Yeah,
right? Pretty
yeah.
quick.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the different part about building a startup in today's day and age, right? Like competitors just like creep in, and the software itself is, I think, a little bit easier to build. It's still
Yeah.
not as easy as like what Cursor and Replit and some of these tools out there to do. To build a production ready app, it still takes time, money, a little bit longer, but it's way faster than it used to be. So I always say that to build I think we're in the era of like compounding features, and we started out with a wedge, which is AI voice. So we've added different sort of functionality, like we have a voice bubble that basically interacts on your website with visitors and has gives instant answers to users and things of that nature, like right away. So it's like a sales rep that's on your website. We're doing SMS, we're doing chat, we have browser's action sort of plan. So I think the way to win in the era of competition is you just sort of compound features and find out your sort of niche. So, we're really a revenue engine platform. And I think that's a transition that we're sort of going towards and building a category around that. Go-to-market specialists will utilize this. Anybody who's running sort of paid ads to increase that ROI on it to create a revenue engine, and voice AI agents is just like one aspect of that platform.
So how does you mentioned paid ads a lot as far as people running those are good clients for yours. Why? I mean, I guess to explain to the audience what it is about people who run a lot of money on paid ads as to why a voice AI agent is somehow a
Yeah.
better part of that equation.
Yeah, absolutely. So people spend tons of money on paid ads, right? And the 80% of leads are less likely to go through your funnel if you don't respond back to them in 5 minutes or less.
Mhm.
right? So that there's a huge drop-off rate if you don't respond back to leads like right away. And leads come in 24 hours around the clock. It could come in at 2 a.m. at nighttime, it could come in on the weekend, it could come in the evening, what have you. And generally speaking, an SDR or a sales rep gets back to them at the time that they get to see it in their funnel, which might be like a 9 to 5 or something like that. So putting in like these AI voice agents, you have a 24/7 lead qualification agent that's calling on these leads as soon as it hits your CRM. So that speed to lead is within 30 seconds versus the average time to value might be a lot longer. So that's a use case that we've seen a lot of success with.
Very cool. Okay, so let's talk about the dark side of business, right? The struggles. Like when did it all go to crap? It had to happen at least once, right?
Oh, of
Like
course.
there's no rainbows and unicorns in entrepreneurship, right? Like
Yeah.
tell us, I mean, what's your story of like, oh crap, when you thought you might have to hang it up completely or whatever that is, and then how did you get through it?
Yeah. I've seen this quote one time, and I think Elon Musk says it, right? Entrepreneurship is like flying, jumping off a plane and then chewing glass on its way down. There's always stuff that goes wrong. From people quitting to team members not producing, to burning a bunch of capital,
Mhm.
to actual customer problems and whatnot. So like I had to actually fire like about four of my technical team members in the early days of starting the company. I went to build everything from scratch. Um, just because somebody got one of the leaders, one of the tech leaders, he was a CTO at the time, he got a job offer from someone Google that was paying them a lot more than what we could afford to pay.
Yeah.
So there was just like leakage across the business from a tech perspective that we had to kind of restart, so to speak. So, you get excited, you find a nice problem to solve, you find a nice product to solve, and you want to be in market 3 to 4 months with some sort of an MVP. That ended up taking 8 to 9 months, and we had to go through the cycle of firing people and coming back in. So, culture is another big thing that's very important. So, like firing people is one thing, but getting the right people and building that athlete first sort of mentality with the right culture within your team is also super difficult to do. So, that's
Mhm.
been painful, but thankfully we found the right group of guys and gals to kind of work together, almost like a championship level basketball team, and we've made some headwinds. So since September onwards, has been a lot better smooth sailing, but we were building quite a lot since then, and we saw some very culture and employee type challenges in the early days.
Yeah, the human capital side of it is sometimes even more important than the actual capital, right? I
Mhm,
mean, because
mhm.
you got to have both, right? Some people think all the problems can be solved with more investment, more capital. It's like
It's
yeah, but
harder. I think the human capital is harder, to be
it is
honest with
it's
you.
way harder.
Yeah,
100% agree.
yeah,
100% agree.
yeah,
Which is
yeah.
also why I think that these new AI recruiting platforms are really interesting to me also
Mm, mm.
because in that world, in staffing and recruiting, I've seen a lot of these AIs figure out the backwards math on the psychological process of filtering people to
Mm.
ensure that it is a better culture and quality fit. Whereas me and you just doing it manually might miss something, right? But
Yeah,
so that I think that industry is really interesting too because I think it solves that
yeah,
problem.
yeah. No, I think that industry is very interesting. I think people are the toughest part of any business.
Mhm.
If you think about it, it's
Yeah.
like people are the toughest challenge, I think.
Listen, here's the thing, man. This is also the problem. Like, because people are the hardest part of every business, and then you get a bunch of people saying, like, well, it's not fair that AI is taking over these entry level jobs. I'm like, no, I get it, but also, what else do you do? Like,
Yeah.
it's the beaten dog syndrome. Like, we're just learning our lesson,
Mhm.
right? Like, I mean, it's hard working with intro level employees
Yeah.
because they're coming right out of college. They don't know really they take a lot of training, a lot of time, and it can be pretty flaky. Like we have both experienced this. And so technology comes out and it says, hey, like you said, like, with yours, like tier one, like, hey, you don't need a call center, you can use this AI. And like, oh, so like it always shows up on time, it never misses a dial, it's
Mhm.
24/7, and it
Yeah.
only costs this. I'm like, yeah, like I get it, man. Of course,
Mhm.
of course it's going that way. But I am a little fearful, if I'm being honest, of the overarching implications of there being a wipeout of intro level positions
Yeah.
in many industries all at once. Because it's kind of like, well, how do you get to if no one gets if so few people get the intro level position, how do you ever get people in the middle and higher after
Yeah.
that point, right? That's something I think is going to happen broadly across
Yeah.
multiple industries that's going to be hard to deal with. Like then that
Yeah. Yeah. You know,
economy
JC,
questions come into play, everything, right?
yeah, yeah. You know, JC, I have quite a contrarian viewpoint on that too, because
Let's hear it.
yeah, I did an interview like in 2017 with quite a well-renowned journalist, and I was running an AI company at the time too. It wasn't like how fast AI is adopted now. And I think my answer is the same that, every revolution that happens, if you take a look at the Industrial Revolution, Internet Revolution, Mobile Revolution, and now obviously AI, there's always like this new set of jobs that are created, right? If you look at mobile, like look at Uber drivers, that job didn't exist. There's millions of people across the world that are tier one Uber drivers today. So I think the same thing's gonna happen with AI. It's hard to pinpoint what that's gonna be, but there's gonna be
Yeah.
new types of jobs. Maybe there's humans that are managing the AIs, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I agree with you. I think the only pushback I would give is that historically speaking, the new jobs that are created are dwarfed by the amount that have been eliminated. And then even when it does go the other way, like you bring up a good example with Uber,
Yeah,
that went the other way. All of a sudden you had a ton, anybody could have the job.
yeah,
But let's not forget they've invested $500 billion
yeah,
into eliminating that. They want
yeah,
self-driving cars. So let's not just say, oh
yeah.
yeah, look at
Fair.
because if they had it their way,
Yeah,
they would have self-driving cars and not have to pay anyone. So it's going to go back the other way also. So
true.
like this is where, and again, I'm not for stifling innovation. I've got a podcast about it, of course.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean I can't be concerned about the speed. See,
yeah,
I've always said that, like America, for example, I'm like America is the largest corporation on the planet. It's
yeah,
America Inc.
yeah,
Okay,
100%.
we can't do it's when you not to get too much into politics, but regardless of which side you're on, the issues that I have is not necessarily always with what is being done as much as
Yeah,
how fast they're trying
yeah,
to do it. And you go that fast, you break things, and not in a good way, not in the Silicon Valley move fast and break things and everything's gonna be awesome way. I mean, like you break actual things that people need. And so I think my concern, what I watch is like, yeah, this is gonna be a great technology and it's gonna solve a lot of problems. It's gonna
yeah,
make a lot of aspects of life better. But the speed of which AI
yeah,
is
that's
hitting
true.
it, I think that's the disruptive part. It's like we're humans, man. We can't react that fast.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's very valid and true. Listen, America is the greatest country in the world, right? And it's the number one economy in the world for a reason. And it's moving. It's not just Silicon Valley. It's anywhere across America that people are seeing value with what AI can bring. And all types of business owners, right? Like home services is seeing it, manufacturing is seeing it. It's not just this like tech heavy, which it has traditionally sort of been. So the speed that it's moving at, it's scary, right? Like past,
That's scary.
yeah, like even if you look at the Industrial Revolution, it took a while for that.
Yeah, that's my point. I was like,
Um,
yeah, it was a revolution, but it
yeah,
went at the
yeah,
speed of
yeah, yeah, yeah.
humans.
Even internet, right? If you think about the internet, it's been 30 years. Like
Yeah.
today is like 2025, right? And the internet's like 1995. It's been 30 years. Mobile's been around since like 2010, 2011, even 2009. It's kind of started 2008. So AI, the progress that it's made in 2 years is crazy. Like we're talking about robots. We're talking about
Yeah.
like it's scary.
Self-driving cars. I
Yeah,
mean, like eventually there's self-driving like air taxi. I mean, here's the thing, like as long as me and you don't get hit by a bus tomorrow, we
yeah,
will both be alive
yeah.
when no one's driving cars,
Mm-hmm.
when no
Mm-hmm.
one's flying planes, right? Like
Yep.
it's it's absurd to me how Star Trek-esque
It's
our actual
reality.
lives will. Yeah, like, and it's not. This isn't one of those like. Here's the thing: when people said that back, like we'd have flying cars by the year 2000. I'm like, okay, sure, but they were just guessing based on like a wish.
Yeah.
Whereas AI is not a guess.
Mm-hmm.
AI has been exponential. And I don't, most people who hear that word
Yeah.
don't actually appreciate. the concept. It's like trying to imagine infinity. Like your brain would explode. You can't
Hmm.
possibly understand how large the universe is, for example. Like whatever you think it is, like your brain is limited, right? And so the term exponential, the word doesn't even give it justice because I
Yeah.
don't think people understand what compounding
Oh yeah.
math that is. Like this is in fact, it's so fast right now that it is overwhelming for a small business to even know which thing to grab onto, right? Because it's like, okay, so let's say a small business wants to get an AI voice agent because to help give their receptionist a break, maybe at a nail salon. I don't know. So they
Yeah.
say, well, let's add this in so that she can help the customers, and then when people calling in, it won't disrupt her because the AI will take care of it. The problem is like if you're the small business owner, which one do you pick? Because by the time you pick one and
Yeah.
work it, another one has come out that's 10 times better in the
Yeah.
time it took you to buy that one.
Yeah.
Like it's moving so fast it now becomes like this shiny object syndrome. So I guess that's another question then for you, Omer, is what kind of advice would you give to small business owners when it comes to like I mean, I'm a marketing guy. Like marketing technology is so insanely fast now that
Yeah.
there becomes this issue of like, well, what the time it takes you to adopt something, integrate it, it's already completely outdated. Like that's
Yeah. Yeah.
absurd.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a good question, JC. We've always sort of lived in these times where you have to go seek out the knowledge. You have to get information and you have to kind of follow that information. Today, the problem is things are moving so fast, and there's also information overload, which is what causes that shiny object syndrome that you were just talking about. So the job has sort of changed that you're not seeking out information anymore. You just have to filter information. Right? You're thrown like so many things. You have to get good
Yeah.
at filtering information and follow one path.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's hard, right? It's hard. It is super, super
I
difficult
bet you get tempted because
all the time.
you literally are creating it, which means you have access to all the tools that are advancing that fast. But it's like
Yeah.
if you never complete the path you're on, then nothing
100%.
happens.
I'm guilty of it. I am guilty of this advice that I'm sharing with everybody. It's like as an entrepreneur who's trying to architect like this AI economic revolution, so to speak. Whether you go on Twitter, it's called X now, or LinkedIn, or whatever your source of information is, there's a new thing every day, right? And it's really easy to get distracted and go down this tangent, and then also like keep you. This hard part is it goes back to the conversation that we were just having about people. I'm one of those guys who's constantly sharing stuff with my team, but it's like sometimes when you're information overload, you're sharing too many things, and the team's moving in. You never want to be like an octopus. You want to be sailing the boat in one direction. So
Yeah.
I
But
think
it's hard. Like
it's hard. It's super hard. I think a modern skill that we all have to get better at, myself included, is just like stick to one path and
focus.
focus. Focus.
Focus.
It's hard
Yeah,
to do that.
that
It's
is
hard to
hard.
do that.
Well, let's talk about your company as far as, I mean, I'm a marketing guy by trade, so I always have to ask the marketing question. What are you doing for what are you doing to tell people about what you do? I would hope that cold calling AI is one of them. If you're not using that system to reach out to people, then I would be very upset with you, Omer.
Yeah.
But I know you're doing PR because you're on a podcast. So talk to us about what types of marketing you're doing, what types completely failed, and what types have worked for you.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll talk about the failed first, because marketing itself has changed a lot in the
Yeah.
last 4 or 5 years. I think since COVID, we're all playing a very different game. I always use this example when I first started my first startup, which was called Fortuna.ai. It was targeting the wealth management sector. We had 25 demos on a weekly basis. And what was the growth hack? We were just reaching out to people on LinkedIn. It was an unfiltered inbox that nobody was using at that time. It was an untapped channel. Today, if you're a founder or you're a business owner, yeah, I don't know, you're probably getting like 30 messages a day in just your LinkedIn inbox. Like
It's overwhelming.
it's overwhelming. And I think everybody's experiencing this problem. So automation tools have just like spammed inboxes, whether that's LinkedIn or even email. Email is a whole different
Yeah.
ballgame. And the conversion rates for that have been like very minimal, like sub 1%, if not lower. So we have not experience a type of growth with like our outbound organic with LinkedIn or email, that's something that the game has just drastically changed in that from just like in the last 3 years, I think, and the playbook for that has drastically changed. So that's something that has not worked for us in terms of what we're doing. Obviously, I think this PR building in public is kind of like table stakes for any business owner, any startup founder. Now, if you're not doing it, you're just falling behind. So we're doubling down on that for sure. We're definitely doing like using our own product to do the cold calling side of things, as you just alluded to. We have
Yeah, I was
to.
gonna say if you're not, I'd be like, that's not. Come
Yeah,
on now.
yeah, we have to. We have to. We're playing around with some other unique channels and such. We're about to announce like a partnership with a very, very large influencer. So hopefully we
Okay.
can get some of that network effects with that brand and
Are you
that.
are you allowed to give us a hint?
It's a large influencer, 200 million eyeballs a month, 3 million subscribers. So pretty,
Wow, like a YouTuber kind of
yeah,
thing, or
yeah.
are and they're like in the tech industry, or is it just like something?
No, tech, SaaS.
Hmm,
So kind
okay.
of in the right space, but we can't take names, JC. I know you're a curious guy, but we can't
I
take
know.
names.
I almost want to be like have a sleuth competition and see if people
I'll tell
can
you
guess who it
offline,
is.
maybe.
If they can guess who it is in the comments later, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
who do we
yeah,
think it is? No,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
awesome. When does that launch?
So we're just sort of finalizing deals. Hopefully within the next month or so, we can sort of announce that. I think that's sort of the new playbook as well, right? Like you
Yeah.
can find distribution angles that are somewhat of an edge and go
Can I
after.
ask what type? Because you don't have to tell me who it is, but I am curious what type of structure the deal is. Is it like because again, a lot of influencers and brand people, they get a piece of the action, right? That's the
Yeah,
exchange. First, they usually have to believe in what it is. They have to like it. They have to
yeah.
vouch for it. Say, okay, I do like this, but if I'm gonna put my face on it, then I want X. Or do they make you pay them up front like a Nike deal where it's like here's
Yeah.
$1 million and be the spokesperson? What kind of structure deal are
Yeah,
you working on when
there's
it comes to this?
it's up for grabs. I think you can sort of customize it based on what fits with that influencer and you. I think everybody has a different structure attached to it. For this particular individual, they're sort of doubling down in AI. So they've created like an investment fund and they're investing in us and things of that nature as well.
Very
So
cool.
it's a lot
Okay.
more involved, but it's quite customizable. So
Good.
yeah, that's exciting. I think that's like an angle. That's like a new playbook. I think like
Yeah.
Harvard case studies are probably going to be written about this, right? Like this is the new playbook, I think.
Hmm.
So doubling down on that, building in public for sure. And then some sort of community is something that we're kind of actively sort of thinking about. We haven't put the dots and I's crossed just yet on that, but some sort of community building, even like how you're kind of just doing this with this podcast with the future of BizTech. I'm inspired to say the least. So something along those lines, maybe stay tuned for that as well.
Yeah, very cool. Okay. So then and then I guess it kind of brings me to one of my last questions, which is I like to know what are the goals, right? Like where do you see your company in the next 12 months? What do you have coming down the pipeline as far as maybe technology wise or feature wise? So, what is that? Where do you want to be versus where you're at now?
Yeah, absolutely. So really, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, we're trying to build this like secret revenue engine powered by AI for service businesses. And what that includes is, from a technology perspective, if you think about it, there's front desk, there's dispatch, there's appointment bookers, right? It's like how can you sort of combine the role of those three folks and do that on phones and websites, which is where most of that action sort of takes place. So yeah, voice agents is one piece of that. SMS is one piece of that. Chat is one piece of that. Browser actions, meaning like the browser itself can take actions and do it for you when you have website visitors, so to speak. That's super, super exciting. Integrations, workflow management, end to end is super, super important. So we see a future where we could perhaps become the system of record for these companies. So from a product perspective, there's a lot to sort of come down, and we hope to sort of be that revenue engine to increase ROI for business owners. So that's what's on the pipeline. We're super excited. We're building with our early customers, so we're learning as we go along as well. But it's been a fun journey. It's been a very fun journey, so to speak.
That's awesome. To kind of start wrapping up here, I always like to ask, what is one piece of advice that you would give to either a new or someone experienced entrepreneur in this especially in the tech industry, in this insane exploding world that we're in right now, if there's one piece of advice that either you've learned or created on your own, what would it be?
Mhm. I'll give a short answer, then I'll expand on it.
All right.
My short answer is just keep going. Right? That's all it is, really. So, like entrepreneurship is just super challenging. There's like human problems, there's people problems, there's capital problems, there's product problems, there's business failures, product market fit, there's selling problems, there's all slew of sort of issues. And the winner is the one who has a tremendous amount of drive and energy to just keep going, steamrolling through those problems and through those issues. And every successful entrepreneur that I've sort of spoken to, and, some of these guys are billionaires, some of these guys are 100 millionaires, or read their book about that. There is no secret sauce. You just need to keep going. You need to have that energy inside of you just to keep going. Right? You got to be solving problems. You got to be talking to your customers. You got to be working with your employees and just keep going. There are going to be failures. There are going to be sleepless nights. That's just part of the journey. If you sign up for this, you're like an intellectual athlete. So you have to treat yourself as an athlete. A basketball player, when they're in the playoffs, they don't win every game. They lose games as well. So you have to treat yourself as that. And the only way to keep moving forward is just keep going. So that's my advice for anybody who's looking to get a taste of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, the relentless nature of success, as they say.
But
Uh, well, listen, if everybody listening right now, thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Future of BizTech. Listen, if you liked the episode, show it, like it, share it, subscribe, follow, all that fun stuff, depending where you're watching or listening right now. Omer, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it, and we'll have to talk soon. This is really interesting stuff.
awesome. It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me, JC. This was wonderful. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Take care. Bye bye.